Hey everyone, it is Julie here with TipRanks, and we're back with another episode of Analyze This. Today we had the privilege of chatting with Mark Palmer, the head of digital asset research at BTIG. Over the past 3 months, Mark is a 5-star analyst and ranked 85 out of nearly 8,000 analysts on the TipRanks platform. He covers the exciting sectors of digital assets, blockchain, and crypto. So let's dive right in. So, Mark, thank you so much for joining me. You are the head of over at BTIG. It's an exciting position to be in nowadays, I imagine. Well, getting to know you, I'd love to know a bit about your background and what led you to your current role.
Sure. I've been at it in the financial space for about 25 years. Started out as a banker in leveraged finance, was on the buy side for about a decade, actually focused on distressed debt, which that experience I thought was very remote from what I'm doing in the digital assets world until very recently when it became very applicable in a couple of cases. I joined BTIG 11 years ago, covering the financials and FinTech spaces. It was really in 2020 that we recognized that FinTech and crypto were really coming together, that the digital asset space was gaining traction, especially among institutions. I think that PayPal's involvement in particular really signaled that some major entities were being very serious about the space and looking at its future and seeing an opportunity. And so we did as well. And so we launched digital assets research back in the fall of 2020, and we've been at it ever since.
And I bet it's been an exciting 20. Those were some unique times.
We've seen a lot of ups and downs for sure.
Yeah. Especially like in the last couple of years, a lot of these new ones. So when you're approaching analyzing these new, what are you looking at? What stands out for you when you're looking to project future growth?
Sure. Well, I think that digital assets, crypto, Web3, blockchain is no different than other technology in the sense that what you're always looking to determine is whether there really is a product market fit. Is there really an audience for this particular approach, this platform? In what ways is that platform differentiated? Because, for example, in the crypto exchange space, there are 600 crypto exchanges globally. Wow. We do not believe that at the end of the day, there are going to be 600 that are going to be successful in operating. So clearly there's going to be some consolidation. There's going to be some attrition. And then you're going to find out which of these business models really was built to last. That's really what we're looking at first and foremost is, do you have a fit with the market and do you have the wherewithal to survive, for example, a crypto winter?
Now we are in the thick of earnings season here. The calendar's been chock full. But I'd love to hear first if there's any particularly that you're excited about in these coming weeks to see.
Well, I don't know if excited would be the way that I would describe it. Extremely interested in finding out, what might be behind the scenes with a number of these firms. We're in a period that is somewhat unprecedented. It's not that crypto winter is unprecedented. Those of us who remember the period between 2018 and 2020 know full well it wasn't, and there were a few others before that. But what is different is that we now have public entities that are going through a crypto winter. We have private entities that have had some extreme challenges, especially in the crypto lending side. And we're trying to figure out what might be behind the scenes. How are these business models holding up in that regard? So I think it's going to be very instructive. By the middle of August, I think we'll have a much better sense of how we are set up to go forward. And it will also provide, I believe, a number of clues about which of these business models, is well positioned to move forward. At the top of everybody's list right now is Coinbase. And there's good reason for that. They're a very large platform. They're one that, we've seen the stock obviously take a beating. Most of that had been due to the broad market, but there are some idiosyncratic issues with regard to Coinbase that need to be worked out. And a lot of questions that are open in terms of how the company is going to approach these things. One of the biggest is just, I don't know that we're going to hear an awful lot about this on the company's conference call because it's an open matter, but how does Coinbase deal with the fact that the SEC is now pointing to many of the tokens that are traded on its platform and saying those are securities?
Yeah.
Now, of course, that follows an insider trading case that was announced that involves a Coinbase employee, where there was kind of a backdoor approach saying that a lot of these tokens are in fact securities. If that had been where it had been left, it would have been a very different situation because those individuals are not really well positioned to defend themselves and argue the point, with the U.S. government. Coinbase is. And I think that Coinbase could actually see an awful lot of friends come to their aid in this regard, because this is not an issue that just affects Coinbase. This is an issue that affects the entire industry.
Yeah, it'll be almost present setting how this is determined, 100% that they do not trade securities, and that has a big impact on the SEC's. Companies will be affected which way this goes. So it'll be a big impact when it kind of clear.
And what's interesting too is the timing on this, because we just had the Supreme Court hand down a ruling on West Virginia v. EPA. And that ruling covered what's known as the major questions doctrine. Basically, the question is, does an agency under the executive branch have the ability to effectively create policy as it pertains to the issues that it deals with? The Supreme Court said, no, it does not. Well, if that major questions policy applies to the EPA, it applies to the SEC as well. I would believe that the question of whether crypto tokens are securities falls under the category of major questions, and therefore would be under the umbrella of Congress rather than the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I had read as well some of the tweets from, I think it was the chief legal officer, was saying that we 100% do not trade securities, saying that when they're vetting, it's through a process that the SEC had approved previously as well. Mm-hmm. So now you're kind of forth. And I mean, there's been a huge question mark around crypto, a large platform. Mm-hmm. Now we're trying to see these different types of regulations come in, which kind of contradict the appeal of the crypto world in the first place. So it's interesting to see that balance between not regulated at all and where that balance is going to fall.
Well, one of the ironies here is that from the beginning, Coinbase has made it a central part of their strategy to work closely with regulators, thinking that would benefit their approach and their growth over the long term. And it turned out that that's really not the case. They played well with the regulators, and the regulators turned around and cracked down on them. And frankly, I have seen in the past times when I believe Coinbase was holding back in terms of the full blossoming of its strategy, simply because it was concerned it might run afoul of the regulators. The derivatives area is one of those, which now makes me wonder, is this when Coinbase just lets the chips fall where they may, goes out and executes on its strategy? Now, it's a tough time to be doing that. Mm-hmm. Especially it's very clear that Coinbase is going to be burning cash and have negative adjusted EBITDA. They said the maximum that they would go to in 2022 is negative 500 million. But at the same time, they are as well positioned as anyone to make a stand with regard to regulation.
Yeah, they're forefront in the market as far as that goes. But for their earnings, last year was $6 for it's negative $2.42. So obviously a lot of headwinds here in Bitcoin itself. But this last couple of days, we've seen Bitcoin go up 10%. The crypto winter warming up here soon, or do we still have a ways to go on?
Well, I think that what we have seen is that crypto in general has been highly correlated with risk assets in general. So I think if we're asking that question broadly, it really comes down to how the Fed is going to position itself, things of that nature, where the macroeconomy is going. But there's one big part of this that is interesting. It's not so much Bitcoin, it's actually Ethereum. Because the Ethereum Foundation has said that they are targeting the week of September 19th for the long awaited Ethereum merge. And we believe
Okay.
that could actually give a spark to the entire space, not least of which is Coinbase's positioning, because Coinbase not only, of course, trades a lot of Ethereum, but staking is a big part of what they're doing. Staking is, of course, the way in which proof of stake blockchains produce new tokens. And there are staking operations that are set up to be involved in this. There are some private ones out there, Figment, Blockdaemon, and the like. But you also have Coinbase, which is doing this. And we think it's one of the overlooked drivers of Coinbase's future revenue growth. And the catalyst is the Ethereum merge.
Okay, good to know. September 19th, you said, well, on our calendar.
That week, thereabouts.
Okay, noted. And then, of course, Coinbase, you have a pretty, I think we're still up around $290. And at the start of the year, that was not a far down, around $60 per share currently. Are you still feeling as bullish? Are we a price target? Mm-hmm. Or where do you see that going?
We are looking over the next couple of years. One of the things that's very difficult to do with regard to crypto, given its volatility, is look in the very near term and make determinations about where we're going. Coinbase famously does not come out with traditional guidance. They'll talk about how many monthly transacting users they believe they're going to have at the end of a year. And even that is typically offered in a very wide range because they just don't know what the future is going to hold. Yeah. What we are looking at is a Web3 space, blockchain, crypto, all of the above, that is very much still in business, even with the price levels of the speculative cryptocurrencies dropping. And we just hosted a music NFT conference. That's an extremely robust area. We hosted a staking conference. Staking, you had Figment, I mentioned earlier, a staking platform that's seen its business double during the first half of 2022 amidst a crypto winter. Why? Because, again, the Ethereum merge is seen as being a significant catalyst. These things don't make a lot of headlines. Those who are close to the crypto space are very much aware of them, but the folks who are sitting at home might not, fully appreciate that. But these are major drivers. So I think that there's much more life to the crypto space than is fully appreciated. We look at Coinbase and say, this is a company that is got more than $6 billion of cash. That gives them flexibility, optionality, and the ability to see this through.